All right, welcome everyone to our webinar, Simple Health Strategies in a Complicated World.
I would say crazy world.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about some crazy stuff, like just some of the stuff that's out there. It's so hard to navigate um, health in an information age where I what commercial was it years ago? I think it was like an insurance commercial or something like that, that they're like, they can't put anything on the internet that's not true.
Oh yeah, he was like, I'm a model.
Yeah.
Or something, I'm a French model.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of stuff out there, and this is where people are getting their information. So we're going to just talk about some simple strategies tonight. But this is kind of the spectrum of health. And our founder, Dr. Anderson, um, he talks about this a lot in his curriculum, The Habits of Health, and the companion life book that goes along with that.
Yeah, people think it's a binary, right?
Yeah.
You're healthy or you're unhealthy, but actually it's a spectrum.
Yeah, it's very much a spectrum, and we kind of move and back and forth at times of life. I mean, you can even be ultra healthy, right? And then you could get the flu,
Right.
and you could feel very sick, or I mean, luckily it's just a temporary thing if your immune system's working properly and stuff. But we have those times, just conditions rise up in life. So it's not a good or bad. It's just like, what do I want to create with my life? And you'll see on the left end of the spectrum is sick. And a lot of people don't recognize that well, they think that they're only sick if they have if their doctor has diagnosed something, right? But there's
Or even
also,
if it's terminal.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But there's also this category that's not on here. It's called unsick,
Mm.
right? And it kind of hovers in this middle area, this unhealthy to healthy a lot, where people are like, well, I'm big boned and I don't have high blood pressure or high cholesterol. I'm not on no meds
Yet.
yet,
I
right?
knew that was coming.
Yeah.
That's
So,
the yet.
yeah. Yeah. So it's here's an interesting study that was done. They took a group of, I believe it was done at Wake Forest, if I remember correctly. So they took several hundred students, so somewhere in the age of 18 to 24 that were at the school, and they were all in a healthy weight range, and they had no metabolic markers. So their blood glucose was good. Their no high blood pressure, no high cholesterol, nothing like that. Okay. And they had them drink 20 ounces. 20 ounces. That's not very much. I see people all the time with these gigantic containers of soda and energy drinks and things like this. They had them drink 20 ounces of a sugared beverage. It was juices, it was sodas, it was energy drinks, all this stuff for 3 weeks. And 100% of them had blood glucose levels after 3 weeks in pre-diabetes ranges.
Crazy. So, I mean, here's some numbers for you because when it comes down to it, our country is struggling. And so 74% are overweight or obese currently in our country. So 3 out of 4. 42% are in that obese of, that percentage is in the obese category. And then there isn't a single state in all 50 states of our country where obesity is less than 20%.
Yeah, 20%. 1 out of 5 kids ages 2 through 19 are in the obese category, not just overweight. Half of our kids are overweight, but 20%, 1 out of 5 are obese. This is dramatically affecting their lives. When we were growing up, I'm 50 years old, Amber's not. But type 2 diabetes, or adult onset diabetes, as it was called then, they didn't worry as much as they do now, because it was about 15 years from the onset of diabetes to where people typically, their cause of mortality was something else, right? So people would develop diabetes from a less active lifestyle, higher fat, sugar consumption, things like that in elderly years, but they were having something else come up at the end of life that would cause mortality, right? Now there are kids under the age of 5 and 6 that are developing type 2 diabetes. So if you look at 15 years beyond that, you're talking about kids in their 20s who are starting to have these chronic chronic inflammation, chronic what am I looking for?
I don't know, but here's the thing is I remember when they changed the name. I remember when I
Yeah.
was a kid and it was adult onset
Yeah.
diabetes and they changed it to type 2.
Yeah.
Because it no longer only applied to adults. And there's a lot of different reasons on this is that physical activity on average less than 20 minutes a day. They call it the sitting disease, that on average Americans spend 6.5 hours per day sitting. I actually read 8 somewhere. So I don't know. I mean, you can't have it
So
exact, but
that's all,
Mm,
including children, right?
gotcha.
So adults are averaging about 8, kids are around 5.
Doesn't it make you want to stand up right now because
Oh,
you're
absolutely.
sitting?
Yeah.
We can't. We have to lead this. But here's the thing is there's increased risk of all of those things on the right: heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, some cancers, sleep disorders.
All of these risk things that you see on the right-hand side, the lowest increased risk is 50%.
Mm,
Some of those are as high as 400% higher risk.
yeah. So it's not just about how you look
No,
when it
not at all.
when it comes down to it.
No. So I don't know how many of you are on social media, but I'm on social media and I post a lot and I read a lot about health and stuff. So what AI does? It fills my page full of health stuff. And it's not all health stuff. It's just influencing for the most part. Did you guys know that there's a thing called hay baths?
I was just going to ask about that because that's so weird.
Oh my gosh. That like they're claiming that it does all of these things. It's like, okay, I'm sorry, you could go take hay baths. I would just be all itchy and feel like I stunk. And
I've heard of mud baths.
right, but it's not going to do anything if I'm not exercising or eating correctly, things like this. There's
Put in the chat if you've done a hay bath. I'm interested to know.
I did it just like playing on my grandparents' farm when I was a
Right,
kid,
true.
but I didn't actually lay down and like act like I was bathing. Jen says no. All of these different kinds of diets, paleo and sugar-free and vegan and pasture-raised and all this stuff, right? You have all these influencers that are like, I'm going to tell you exactly what I eat 14 times a day and stuff. And then you have to make it look like people spend all their time making their food look like these influencers.
Well, and your candy bar better be GMO free,
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And this picture in the top middle, this was a recent one that popped up about a month ago. There was a health guy that health influencer that was talking about research that shows that people who wear spandex yoga pants, that it increases estrogen and they're more likely to be obese. I'm like, well, I see a lot of people wearing women wearing their yoga pants and stuff, and men wearing their compressions underneath shorts and stuff. Some of them not wearing shorts over the top.
Well, I remember Dr. A would say like wear pants with a waistband.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the stretchy pants. I don't know.
Yeah. But he was talking about the fabric. I've heard fabric being criticized because it's not breathable and things like that, and it could cause skin irritation and stuff like that, but not that it increases estrogen levels.
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes down to it, there's just all kinds of information floating around, and it's hard to make sense of it a
Yeah.
lot of times.
Yeah. So here's kind of some foundational things that kind of all of the gurus talk about. The the foundation of healthy eating and weight control is always going to come down to calories and macros.
Yeah, you can't eat too many calories than what you burn. Like that's obvious.
Yep.
You got to be eating the right stuff, right?
Yeah, all three macronutrients, fats, carbohydrates, and protein are all critical to a healthy functioning body.
Yeah.
So then people will be like they talk about meal timing, about different fasting and things like that. And let's go, no, it's critical that you eat at this time and this time.
My
Well,
meal windows.
So here's where there's some really strong research. And we should eat with the sun, right? Eat when you rise in the morning and stop eating when it starts to get dark. I mean, our ancestors, they just went to bed when it got dark. So they weren't staying up with fake light until midnight and things like this and just snacking on all of the things that we're craving at midnight.
With Netflix.
Right, right. When we're just mindlessly surfing other things. So many people, they move to quality of ingredients. Like, oh, is it non-GMO? Is it
Organic?
Organic? Is it sustainable? Like all of these different fad words and stuff. Those things, they're important, but not over calorie consumption and macronutrients.
Right.
If you're just getting something because it's organic and stuff, but you're not balancing your calories and macros, it's not going to benefit you as much as if you build on a caloric deficit if you're in a weight loss and a caloric neutral, or even Dr. Anderson in the Habits of Health talks in a maintenance level to keep your calorie intake about 85% of your total energy expenditure.
Yeah, because here's the thing, you could do a giant bowl of non-GMO organic pasta and go way over your calories, and it's not going to matter.
Right.
You have to eat the right foods first, right?
Right. So you could, and also if you don't have protein and enough fiber in that, you could spike your blood sugar and create inflammation just from high glucose levels and high insulin levels, where you think that those high quality ingredients are non-inflammatory because they're better produce or something like that. So there's this balancing act, right? And then a lot of people are even getting into macro timing now. Like that's way off in the distance.
What does that mean? Like when you eat your protein, like after
Yes,
your exercise, stuff
exactly.
like that? Okay.
Exactly. So there's some indication that there's two ways of looking at protein. There's total protein consumption during your day, and then there's also getting the right amino acid formulas at certain times of the day that stimulate higher protein synthesis. So that's pretty easy to do, but a lot of people will be like, well, I need to take it 36 minutes after I'm done with my workout or something like that. That stuff's not as important as just getting good macro balance, calorie neutral or calorie deficit.
Yeah, so let me simplify this for you. If you feel like this was complicated, start with like, how many calories are you eating? Are you getting enough fiber and protein? Are you eating every 2 to 3 hours? Like that would be where I would start, instead of being so worried about all of these like complicated things that people like make it all about that on the internet.
If
Like
it becomes
start the baseline.
Einstein said it this way, that if you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it. So if you are confused by things that professionals or experts seem to be saying, and it becomes really difficult, then they're probably just selling you something.
Yeah, it's a good point. And if you think about it, it's like when you're reading all these articles or on Instagram and all these things, I swear that those influencers, they think that you have to do all of these things perfectly. You have to eat intuitively, listen to your body. Well, what if your body's telling you to eat hamburgers and candy all day? I mean, I know kids on my or kids volleyball teams, and they think they can just subside, on Monster drinks and Starburst.
That's what their
They're
body's telling them.
intuitively telling them, all right? Um, or you have to know every single calorie amount, and you have to meal prep like 4 hours a day, and you have to exercise 4 hours a day, and have all the skills to handle your own emotional like, when it comes down to it, I don't know if anybody does all of that all the time. So really, we want to just simplify.
So Optavia has been around since 1980. So this is our 45th year. From the beginning, we have been based on clinical research.
Yeah.
We've worked with incredible organizations like the National Institutes of Health, Johns Hopkins University. We have a medical board of directors of some of the top doctors, nutritionalists, from all kinds of different walks of medical practices and research, sitting on our board of directors to validate the research that we're doing. We don't do our research internally. We have third-party organizations so that it's not biased, right? It's really, really important to get unbiased, double-blind, real research.
Yeah, and Dr. A, our founder, has always been very much attuned to that. Instead of just going with whatever's the fad of the time, oh, we should all just not eat for most of the day. He really looks at what is researched and what has the most evidence. And he doesn't claim that he knows everything, and there's new things that come along as well. But that's what I've loved about Optavia, is that they go where the research takes them.
Yeah, so I love this statement that I heard years ago from David Viscott. He said, your ultimate goal in life is to become your best self. Your immediate goal, I mean, that can be kind of overwhelming, like, oh, what is my best self? You don't even know day to day. Like, but your immediate goal is to get on the path that will lead you there, right? So at the beginning, we shared this path, this spectrum that's at the bottom, sick to ultra health. Where am I on that? But a lot of times we just look at, okay, what am I eating? What's my exercise? Stuff like this. And we kind of separate our different aspects of life. And when we really look at, this is what we call the trilogy of optimal health at the top: healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy finances. It's actually broken into 12 sectors, but these are the main three. And then you can look at some of those things that fall within those three main sectors. And it's like, those are the things, like when my body is out of balance and stuff, a lot of times, like my community involvement gets really low. Or perhaps it gets really high. I'm really busy, involved with something, so I forget to take care of some things in my healthy body area, right? So it's this kind of like riding a tricycle. It's like if one of those wheels is dragging or falls off, it can be really detrimental to the experience.
Yeah, you're spending all your time and money on hobbies and fun and never going to work, right?
Yeah,
It could be out of balance.
I heard this this Buddhist monk a few months back that I love what he said. He said, when you're healthy, you have 1,000 problems. And I'm like, okay, where's he going with this? And he said, but when you're really sick, you only have one problem.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I choose to live the life of 1,000 problems.
That's cool. Where are you going with this one?
Well, I mean, 16 years ago when we were invited to join Optavia, we had 3 little kids at the time. Our kids were 2, 5, and 7 when we started, and
they're so cute.
this was actually like a little bit before that, because
Yeah.
Tenley was a brand new baby.
Yeah.
But now our kids are 18, 21, and 24. And we've been able to raise them in this environment of health. Not just physical health, but learning how to talk about their emotions, to identify their emotions, to process their emotions, that none of those emotions are good or bad. They're just what they experience.
Yeah, and back then I definitely was more of like a foodie. I had high cholesterol, I was overweight, I had low energy, and I it came down to the fact that I didn't want to pass on my bad habits to my children. And that's one thing that I loved about Optavia and being really part of this community, really changing those habits for the long term. And I look at my kids now, and I mean, nobody's perfect, right? But for the most part, they have good habits. They move their body, they exercise, they choose good foods. Yeah, sometimes they have a bacon cheeseburger or make cookies on the weekend. I'm not, like I said, nobody's perfect, but they really, for the most part, they have that desire and that focus of putting good fuel in their body. They want to handle situations well, be emotionally intelligent, and I credit that for a lot of it to Optavia being part of this community for 16 years.
Yeah, and very much they look at those kinds of things as treats,
Yeah,
not as habits,
right.
right? Um, it's like we're not dogs, right? Like we don't like just give ourselves treats all the time for like rolling over everything that we do in life. We used to, and it's just like, oh, I made it through another day. It's time to treat myself again.
Mm.
And it just feels your body and your mind and everything feels so much better when you're treating your body really, really well.
Yeah. And that's what I love about our program is it's so turnkey. There's not a bunch of counting calories or counting macros, or it's kind of done for you because of our amazing fuelings that make nutrition simple. And I talk to people about our fuelings, and some people will poo-poo it, and well, I don't know if eat food that is like sent to me in the mail. The funniest part about it is that I have eaten a fueling or four for 16 years. I love my hot cocoa. Like I cannot live without it. If you have fuelings, put your favorite fueling in the chat. I'm interested to see what your favorite is. Mine's hot cocoa forever. Um, but it just is an elegant solution. You know that it's healthy. It doesn't cost more than what you would get for a convenient macro balanced high protein meal. And it really helps you to like just quiet that just like the food noise a
Well,
lot.
here's a perfect example. Like both of us are taking trips this weekend. She's going on a girls' trip to southern Utah, and I coach a high school volleyball team, and we got invited to this great invitational tournament in Austin, Texas. Both of us on our kitchen counter right now, we're packing for our trips tomorrow, and both of us have fuelings packed. So my boys, every each of those boys going on this trip get a $70 stipend for food, plus the team is providing 2 dinners, right? It's like I can take my fuelings to fuel me and keep me feeling good all day long, way less than $70 for those 2.5 days.
Jared's getting himself a nice steak for his $70,
Absolutely.
bringing his fuelings. Yeah. But also our education system, it helps to rewire, helps to reset our brain, how we think of things. It's like it's the value we place on food. Like when I drive by a fast food establishment, my brain now goes, ugh. But like 20 years ago, it was like, ooh. So changing the value that you even place on food, on moving your body. Like I used to be like, oh, I hate exercise. And now I'm like, ooh, I get to go play pickleball. I get to go play volleyball. I get to go on a hike with my friends this weekend. I'm so excited to move my body. That is not a static thing. These are neural pathways in your brain that you can change.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit more. That's kind of where we start with the turnkey nutrition. And if you look in the bottom right, the 4 components of our system, independent coach, like you get a personal coach. Our Habits of Health transformational system. Getting good information is critical, right? And you can get this from reading the book. You can get it from joining our WIN calls and
Webinars.
webinars, things like this, being part of our community, right? I recently listened to a psychologist that was talking about personal identity. And he said, we have lived in a society for a couple of decades now that is so focused on self-care, self-improvement, self-esteem, self-everything, right? And we've forgotten how important community is. And he's like, our identity is really determined by our community, by the circle of friends that we have, things like this. And he's like, and a lot of the mental health concerns in the world today are because people are breaking away from community and away from connection, and they're solely dependent on self. Right? It's not that the self isn't important, it's that the self integrity means being part of a whole. So there's no integrity without these individuals and authentic people that join together and say, hey, I'm going to be part of something bigger than myself.
Yeah, that's why I love to have a coach too. Somebody who can ask you questions, who can feedback what you're saying, who can, kind of see something you're not seeing about yourself when it comes down to it. And so the Optavia community, love it. Habit Finder Health, this is a newer addition to our community that we've been loving. And this, you can do your free assessment, talk to the coach who invited you, so that you can start looking at the habits of thinking that could be the key to what's holding you back to getting the health that you want or having the relationships that you want. And we love conscious leadership, of course.
Yeah,
as well.
for sure. So we kind of talked about this earlier, blood glucose, and why it's so important to balance our blood sugars, control that insulin response. This is what a typical day looks like. I mean, energy drinks, pastries, things like this,
Burgers.
just all over the place.
Yeah.
Right?
But what we want to do is just make those even and steady. And they did a study in Dr. Jenkins at the University of Toronto. And what they found is that when you eat 6 times a day, when you are just smaller meals, macro balanced throughout the day, they found that they lost more weight. The group who ate 6 times a day over the 3 times a day, they controlled their hunger better. They improved their energy, reduced blood insulin, which is huge for fat storage and inflammation in your body. They lowered their total cholesterol. They reduced LDL, which is the bad cholesterol. I learned LDL. That's how I remember it's bad, LDL in college, and reduce fluctuations to satiety. They felt more full. So, and they both of the groups ate the same number of calories in the same foods. So this is real research that we've based our program on because that's what the studies showed. Eat 6 times a day.
So this is what it looks like when you're eating carb, protein, balanced, healthy fats in the proper calories at regular intervals.
Much less of a roller coaster.
Much less of a roller coaster. And most people don't realize that when your blood sugars look like this, you have much higher energy.
Yeah. And the other thing that we just love to focus on is your muscle mass. How much muscle you have on your body will affect your blood glucose and insulin levels. It will affect part of that roller coaster of your body. And because a lot of times we just lose muscle as we age for many reasons. One of which is that we stop moving as much, we start eating less protein, and our bodies just create less collagen, our cells aren't working as much. So if we don't really focus on that, we tend to lose more muscle. But this is something that can be reversed.
Yeah, and remember back to one of the very first slides we showed with a lot of the health statistics. Currently, 12% of our country has used GLP-1 medications. What they're finding right now, we're about 2 years into this GLP-1 craze. And
experiment is what I like to call it.
And now they're talking about, and there's thousands of drugs being in research and being produced for the future, oral medications. GLP-1s, that are going to be like micro doses, right? Like they're like, you're just going to be on this for the rest of your life.
Mm.
And what they're finding is people who are using the medications, many of them are saying, well, this is helping me lose weight, and they're not focusing on the nutritional quality
Yeah.
of their food, or exercise, things like this. 40 to 50% of their weight loss is muscle loss.
Which is very dangerous.
Very dangerous. Muscle is the organ of longevity,
Yeah.
right? It's going to dictate the quality of our life as we age.
So, we talked about how we've been coaching for 16 years and how it's helped us so much. And it doesn't surprise me when I heard the statistic that coaches are 500% more likely to reach and maintain their healthy weight. I mean, that was true for us. We both lost, 90 pounds between us, and we have not gained it back. It's something that we're part of the community. We're talking about this. We're reading about it. Where our mindset is there. So developing self-awareness skills, that's been huge because we're part of a community that really focuses on improvement, focuses on what can we learn today? How can we get better just day by day? And I love that quote, like, just get in the room. You're more likely to remain in community. And like James Clear says, if you want something to become second nature, then become part of a group where what you want to change is the norm. And I will tell you, in the coach community of Optavia, it's normal to take the stairs instead of the elevator. It's normal to carry around giant, heavy water bottles full of just water. Like, it's normal to eat every 2 to 3 hours and to choose good choices. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and work-life flexibility. You know, I I've heard it talked about a lot, like work-life balance. There's no such thing, right? The moment that you focus on one thing in life, you're out of balance with something else, right? So the beauty of being in a community where you can help other people with their health, but you can do it in a flexible way, it allows you to create harmony. You're never going to be you're never going to be in perfect balance, right? But flexibility is a beautiful thing in today's world where you can do something at a certain time, any place, right? Like as I travel to Austin, I'll still check in with my clients, I'll still chat with coaches, text with coaches, things like that. So I can do it from anywhere, anytime.
Absolutely. And yeah, I encourage you, talk to the coach who invited you. Maybe you are looking into getting healthier with your body. Talk to them about, what kind of program would you recommend for me if you were to know all of my health markers, all the things that I want to accomplish. Or maybe you are a client and you're thinking, boy, I am worried that maybe I'm not going to be able to sustain my weight loss, sustain these habits that I've created. You might talk to your coach about coaching. You might talk to your coach about, what kinds of books can I be reading now? What kinds of community events could I be joining so that their norm becomes my norm too?
Yeah.
So thanks for joining tonight. We had so much fun with you all, and hopefully you've gotten some little nuggets, something that will help you to simplify, to focus on just for yourself in all of the crazy, noise of the health community out there on social media. But thanks so much, you guys, and have a great weekend. We'll see ya.